and Rob Waldman came to the summit. In fact, it was May 15th, 2007. I looked it up. It's almost exactly 2 years, to talk to us about aging in place and that concept and what it is. So I'm here today with Simon Marlowe, okay, and Leslie Molinoff, and Friedhilde Milburn, and a lot of other people. I may be about half of us who are here who have been involved in some way in the planning of At Home on the Sound, and who will be involved in future planning and involvement in At Home on the Sound. So, aging in place provides services to people who want to stay in their homes, want to stay in the community as they grow older. And it provides support for them to make that an exciting experience, and so they will remain active and independent. After Lois and Rob made their presentation, they asked for volunteers. And there are a couple of us here who volunteered. Actually, I think it was Teddy who called me on the phone and said, "Lynn, you really should volunteer for this." And so, listening to Teddy, I did. And along with Doreen, I think at the beginning, it grew. And we have now have a steering committee actively involved, over 30 people. We have gotten support from clergy. We've gotten support from the town and village officials. We're especially grateful to Valerie. We've been meeting at the town center. We really have gotten to know Conference Room A and the courtroom. Thank you. It has really made it so much easier for us. We are very appreciative to George, who has been so supportive of this, and the response has really been quite wonderful. I'm going to talk today and give you a general overview of the program and all of the components of it, and then Simon will talk about how we're interacting with community and the potential for that. And then we're here for questions, not only the four of us who are up here, but also everybody who has been involved in At Home on the Sound can add a piece. So when the smaller committee got together, we were really looking at how are we going to move forward? And there were two main questions we wanted answered. First of all, whether there was a need, whether there was an interest in Larchmont and Mamaroneck for this kind of program, and also what was already available. Because right from the beginning, one of our guiding principles has been that we don't want to duplicate what already exists, but that we want to complement and encourage use of whatever is already here. We went about this by conducting 6 focus groups. In those groups, we included clergy, government, people who were in service, who were service providers and worked for services that involved the elderly, and residents themselves, residents who would be ready to join this kind of group, and children of residents who would be ready to join this kind of group, so that we had a broad input across the community. After that, we decided, okay, it's time for us to move on. In fact, it was a viable option, and in fact, we felt a necessary option. So we began looking at aging in place programs that were successful. We found out more about Beacon Hill Village, which is what Lois and Rob were talking about when they were here. And we got their manual, thank you. we got their manual, which was a startup manual, and also told not only how they began, but things that they were doing now. We contacted people in Gramerton Village, which is a functioning program in Bronxville and very successful. We talked to people in Greenwich, Connecticut and New Canaan, Connecticut, who also have programs that are working and that are functioning well. We were guided and helped by CAPS, the Committee for Aging in Place Support, that Rob is now the president and has becoming a very important organization in our community. We researched what agencies and what programs were in our community, and we looked in various different venues in terms of education, in terms of social services, hospitals, various programs. And lastly, we looked at the demographics, and we researched the demographics to see who is out there and who we could, who our potential target population would be. Well, our figures are from the 2000 census, which is what we had available at that point. We discovered there were approximately 7,000 individuals, 60 and above, in our community. And when I say community, I'm talking about the Larchmont-Mamaroneck area. There were 5,500 individuals 65 and over. Nearly 1,500 residents over 65 live alone. Approximately 35 are married couples with at least one spouse 65 or over. And then there's an additional 500 people who are over 65 who are living in alternative kinds of arrangements, non-family household, group quarters, etc. Nearly 80% of seniors own their homes. That includes condos, indicating a strong preference for staying at home on the part of most Larchmont-Mamaroneck seniors. 75% have annual incomes of less than $100,000, and 50% have incomes between $35,000 and $75,000 a year. So we had a better sense of who was out there. It's a low estimate. All of the figures coming out now, not only in Westchester, but throughout the country, there's a growing adult population. And there was an article just last Friday in the Journal News talking about the growing population, significant growing population in Westchester. So there are people out there who are really going to be able to benefit from our services. Okay, so where are we now? Well, we've incorporated as a not-for-profit organization, and we are a 503 tax-exempt organization. And that came through fairly recently, and needless to say, we're quite delighted. We've developed a business plan. That was last October. We have a brochure. That was last week. And we are working on a website, which is in process. We don't have one yet, but we should have one in a couple of weeks. Our target population are people living in the Larchmont and Mamaroneck area that's within the boundaries of Lower Merion that's where I used to live. Mamaroneck School District, Mamaroneck School District, and Rhinebeck School District. It's for people ages 60 and over. We'll be a membership organization with an annual fee. We're going to keep the fee as affordable as we can, and there will be subsidized memberships for those people who would not be able to afford the fee. There's going to be a broad array of services provided by volunteers when available and when it's appropriate, and by professionals when needed. It'll include transportation to appointments, grocery shopping errands, pre-screened home repair and handyman services, a variety of health and wellness activities, help with technology and computers, trying to make everybody somewhat comfortable with it, the importance of cell phones for safety, computers to communicate, And I think most important from what we're hearing from other programs and also from what we found ourselves are opportunities for socialization. Many people living alone become very isolated. They have difficulty maintaining social connections, and we really have come to understand the importance of those connections. Connections of people to each other, connections of people to community, and community to people. And so we'll have monthly meetings with a variety of speakers of topics of interest to our population. There'll be outings and cultural events, regular get-togethers, responding to members' interests, whether it be book clubs or for people who just need somebody to come and read to them, luncheons, perhaps a buddy system. Once you start thinking about this, there's a myriad of ideas. There's all kinds of opportunities here. We also will set up, excuse me, volunteer opportunities for people neighbors helping neighbors, neighbors being involved with people who are either part of At Home on the Sound, not part of At Home on the Sound. People also helping in the community and getting involved in community activities. The heart of the program will be a resource center, which will be staffed by a paid director and trained volunteers. They'll be able to answer questions, provide information, provide referrals to appropriate services, and respond to individual needs, so that if we don't have something already established and up and running, they'll be able to find out, okay, what does this person need and how can we help them? And find out more about those resources. And it so often happens, what helps one person often helps many others. So the resource center will just expand and have even more options and be able to do even more referrals. We'll have available a roster of providers who have been screened for reliability. There'll be constant follow-up, and also many of them will be offering discounts. We'll develop partnerships with local institutions and organizations and negotiate discounts and preferential treatment. We will, for example, we're looking at different educational institutions in the area. There's Lyric, which has courses at Iona College for seniors. Adult education through our own school districts. There are programs at Purchase College. We're looking at these. There are wellness programs at the RIY. There's the College of New Rochelle Health Center. And everybody is interested. We'll have a population that people are interested in, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback about setting up programs to meet the needs of our group, which has been extremely gratifying. We will establish discounts with local merchants. For example, at Gramerton Village in Bronxville, members have a membership card. And when they go into local businesses, they give them their membership card, and there's special recognition. And also, we will be able to advocate for the needs of seniors in our community. Well, looking ahead, everything so far has been driven and has been funded by the steering committee. So we're now approaching the larger community, both with information and for funding. We already have 2 grants from CAPS, startup grants. We have promises from state legislators, and at this point, even more than promises. And we're reaching out to find individuals in the community to offer financial support, small and large. We're approaching corporations and foundations for grants. And as we're entering this pre-launch phase, which hopefully planning to open our doors for business in January 2010. I have to get used to saying that, but I think we're going to be calling it 2010. We hope to offer, to hire an executive director by September. This will be followed by membership recruitment and volunteer training, and we'll be ready for business at the beginning of the year. So that's where we are, and Simon will talk a bit about community and other things. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I've lived in Larchmont, as Valerie knows, since 1984. And we have 2 children, both of whom have grown up, went to Georgetown, and have now living in Manhattan. When we moved here, my daughter was born 1 month later, and we brought my parents to Larchmont. And Valerie remembers these 2 little Europeans walking along and enjoying this community. For the last 10 years, I have spent creating infrastructure and support for them in Sydney, Australia, where they live. And as part of that experience, I have gotten to fully appreciate the needs and the values and the importance of an organization like At Home on the Sound. About 3 months ago, I called Lynn and asked to talk to her about this operation, and I was so impressed with the enthusiasm, the dedication, and the organization of making things happen. I mean, rarely have I come across it, even in the world of business, to see people who are so focused, determined, and actually hit the ground running. So I'm here to give a little color to the substance that Lynn has put forward to you. And I think from my personal standpoint, what I will do today is share with you what I have seen in the 3 months that I've added my support. From everything that we have learned, from the people that we've talked to, from our own personal stories, we know that life just happens and that things can change on a dime. Our colleagues at Beacon Hill, in Bronxville, and in New Canaan all talk about the benefits of a community that's strengthened by initiatives that are built around the model that we are developing here for the Larchmont-Mamaroneck community. It will simply make our community a better place to live in so very many different ways. Lynn has talked a little bit about the structure. I'm going to embellish upon it for you. Whether it's one of us or someone we know, a neighbor or a friend, or even someone else in our family who has to see a doctor, visit a sick friend, or simply just go shopping, they need somebody, they may need someone to drive them or accompany them. They will call At Home. One phone call is all that's required to find out what's available and how to get support. One of the things that we've discovered is that loneliness knows no economic boundaries. And the thing that surprised us is that when we talk to some of the well-heeled people in this community, the thing that they worry about is that their friends or the people that they've grown up with are moving out. They don't have instant community. And so this notion of isolation is something that can be just as painful as any disease. It's something to be recognized, it's something to be understood, and through At Home, they will be able to connect with people, they will be able to connect with friends, they will be able to find people who share the same interests that they do. And a community at large that is so rich in so many different ways. One call to At Home will get them involved, will get you back home afterwards as well. One of the biggest issues as we age is the whole notion of personal relevance. Making a difference, adding value to our own and other people's lives. I have an aunt in Australia. She's 97. And she said to me, if the day ever comes when I cannot do one thing for another person, then it's definitely my time to go. And I think many of us feel that way. The opportunity to connect, to give back, to help, to encourage, to share some of the stories of our own with other people. There's so much wisdom and experience and creativity in this community. We are very rich in that sense. What At Home will do, we'll find ways to have this shared, to be reapplied, and to keep this happening. We have one of the best high schools in the state, and we are working to create intergenerational programs so that the young will connect with everybody else and appreciate what we have to offer. Many people, our elders and captains of arts and industry and the profession, their experience will be shared and appreciated and learnt by the young and those trying to create a better life for themselves in this community. Lynn mentioned about the vetting of vendors. One of the most important things is that as we get older, the whole notion of living here and maintaining the houses that we live in becomes incredible. What we will be able to do is talk to plumbers, electricians, handymen, home care workers. We will have follow-up phone calls to the homes of people that they go to make sure that the work is the way it should be. With At Home behind you, people will know that the risk of exploitation will be greatly reduced. If you do need personal assistance, At Home can and will help you to keep from feeling isolated in your own home. And having volunteers who want to help you is certainly a lot better than having to keep on asking the neighbors for a little help. The other aspect which Mary Lou might appreciate is that we've had conversations with a large number of people who, just like ourselves, say, listen, we're just too young for this sort of service. But the interesting thing is that they say, well, we have friends or family that might want to move into the area because they will benefit from this type of infrastructure. And others who used to live in Larchmont have expressed interest in moving their parents back here so that they can benefit again with the type of support that we're talking about in a community that they love and grew up in. We're here to complement the many fine programs that exist in this community. We will be a consumer-driven organization, one that listens to what people need, and we will do our best to serve and to give back to these people. So, what do we need from you? We need advocacy. We need your endorsement. We need your referrals. We need your volunteers. Okay? We want to have donors who can help us provide this service. I've run big businesses and small businesses around the world. And I have to tell you that this is one of the most motivated and committed and focused organizations I've ever been associated with. I'm really proud of what is being created here. And I think that we've learned immensely from Beacon Hill in Boston and Gramerton Village in Bronxville and the guys up in Connecticut. But I think everybody should be really proud and excited what we're creating here in Larchmont for everybody. Thank you.
Sure. So now we're ready for questions that anybody might have.
I don't have a question so much as a comment. Being a caretaker of my mother who lives with me now, who's 91 years old, even as a caretaker, you feel very isolated. And it's very hard to get services once you're past the critical medical point. And one of the things that I found extremely helpful is just through conversations with people, I found out about a friendly visitor program that Holy Trinity sponsors. And that has been wonderful for my mother who cannot get out unless it's a major effort to get her out of the house. This woman comes once a week for 50 minutes to an hour. They sit together. I hear them laughing and talking because it's someone more closer to her age. She can relate to the person. And often as caregivers, we're so involved with the care of the person that we don't have time to socialize with them. And that's really sad because we work, and something like that, a home visitor coming to a house, is so important for the elderly. And I would like to see this as part, of your program, and I got the impression that it might be. And it's just a wonderful thing, and I commend you for what you're doing, and I really would like to get involved with this. This is a wonderful thing.
How wonderful. Well, one of the great parts about talking to groups, and we've started doing this now, is the ideas that are coming in that we're incorporating. So, and this is something that we have thought about, friendly visits or phone calls, whatever. And I have my pencil and my paper here. We also have some sign-up sheets for people who are interested in either volunteering or getting more information as we move forward. Yeah, Mariana.
Hi. I just want to congratulate you. It's a wonderful project. Before I got involved with immigrants, it was my field of practice, and I was at a speech by Maggie Kuhn, the founder of the Great Patriots, and she was talking about interdependence. And I think the very concepts that you're bringing of tapping into existing groups and looking into this connectedness in the community is effective and is really enhancing to values that we want to bring to generations to come. And I really hope that we can do some intergenerational programs because that's an opportunity for our youth to get involved in a meaningful way and really get a glimpse of different life than what they see every day.
Just to expand on that a little bit, we already have, through the efforts of Friedhilde Milburn, we already have students from the school system who are helping us administratively, and that's just the beginning because we hope to provide programs of where we will have intergenerational activities, and that I think makes us a richer community across the board.
And they're going to do a bake sale.
Yes, I forgot the bake
The
sale.
kids are going to do a bake school at the high school.
As a fundraiser for us, exactly.
Just to tag on to that concept, I know that a lot of the religious schools do visit nursing homes right now. Maybe your program can be expanded, that kind of program can be expanded in a way. Sometimes they bring seniors into the religious institution and have events for them. I know that my children have attended things like that, and that maybe working with all the religious institutions in our area to kind of have a concerted effort might be helpful for your program.
We like that very much. In fact, this intergenerational opportunity is so great. We're going to create a website which hopefully will be up and running in a few weeks. And one of the key components of this will be a section which allows people to tell their own stories. And I can just see the younger people in our community seeking out those people, and we will have a whole chronology of the richness of people. There's a wonderful movie that's just coming out very soon that I saw at the Emmeline Theatre about how people have start to share their background with different generations. And people have so much to talk about here that it's going to be a large component of how we create a broader sense of community.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how a transportation program would work and who would staff it
Okay, either that you? Okay.
All right. Yes, transportation we know was a number one item that cropped up during the focus groups. And I know there are some transportation programs in the community, but it's a very wide net with a lot of holes in it. And we are fortunate that the County of Westchester actually is concentrating also in improving the infrastructure and make it easier to go about. But we will look at time banks for volunteers to do the driving. And we are also very interested in expanding not just the pickup from curb to curb, but with what we call doors through door and arms through arm. And that people actually go with people into the house, and also some of them will stay with them during their appointments. And we will very closely work with the Medicare Rights Center that has a wonderful reputation of training volunteers and build on their experience. And people are always concerned, what will it do for our insurance? How can you be sure? There are insurance packages that cater particularly to programs all over the United States that have volunteer banks and use volunteer drivers. So we are exploring that, and I think that will be one of our major thrusts in the beginning, because that was the number one need that was enunciated by all these focus groups.
May I add something to that? As far as the volunteer drivers are concerned, we have a great model that we used for many, many years here in our school system, and the program was called Safe Rides, for students to give other students rides on Fridays and Saturday nights when they didn't want to be driving with somebody who had perhaps had something to drink. And I, for several years, was the parent supervisor of that program. We are going to use a similar model for At Home on the Sound, where we have a core volunteer of drivers who will be assigned for a particular day or perhaps once a month, and there will be a scheduler who will make adjustments to that as people need. And we know that this is a successful model because it ran for many, many years. And Judy Myers is here in the audience, who worked with me on that. Yes, Judy was the scheduler, yes, and did a fabulous job. And we know it's a successful model, and I'm sure that we'll be able to use it At Home on the Sound as well as we did for the Mamaroneck School District. Thank you.
Yeah, this side.
I'm very excited about this organization. I have an 82-year-old father here in Rochelle. He grew up here in Larchmont. He's very capable now, but one of the things he told all 6 of us kids and all 18 grandchildren is that he wants to take care of himself and live an independent life, and he doesn't want to come live at our house. And for him to be able to have this service when he gets older, they can stay in the home that he's got, it's fantastic, and I would love to volunteer for him.
Great, great. Yeah, Penny? Yeah.
What's the relationship between your group and the existing senior citizen centers now?
Okay. There are senior centers. They're meeting now. Most of them, I think the village and the town has combined over at the VFW, and it attracts some seniors, not all seniors. Our hope is, and this is a perfect example of how we want to mesh with what exists, is that we will meet with them, we will see what kind of programs. We hope to expand programs. We hope to get more people over there and also provide these kinds of services for the people who are currently there. We will certainly speak to them, let them know about this program. We have, and Valerie?
We used to have two senior centers. We had the Larchmont, Town of Mamaroneck one, which was in the library in Larchmont. That then moved out to VFW. It's taken us 15 years to kind of arrange getting into the VFW. Then, last year, Mamaroneck saw that their Section 8 housing, their community service, and their senior center was becoming burdensome from a budgetary standpoint, and we decided from a programmatic standpoint it would be a lot better to get all the people together. You'd have more workers, more programs. It's been very successful. So we've taken the people from the Larchmont Public Library and the Mamaroneck Center, which includes Rhinebeck people. The Mamaroneck Center has what they call a nutrition program that's federally funded food that you don't have to pay for, but they ask you to give some money. Now we have Italian lessons, we have dance things, exercise things, we have New York Times current events things, we have trips all the time. We also have on our staff people who drive people to doctors. We go to Rye, to that Field Road place. We go to Greenwich Hospital, I think. We go to Nurgel Hospital. We go to White Plains. We go to White Plains, and we also bring people to the medical center in Valhalla. Now, we can bring them there, but if they're in Valhalla, we don't bring them back. They'll have to get a taxi because we can't wait there for hours and hours. But there's a regular service to doctors, and we bring the people shopping at Stop and Shop in buses on a regular basis, like every Tuesday, whatever it is. So the program is expanded tremendously under the leadership of 2 or 3 new people. But it would be magnificent if we could link up with you, because whatever we can do to expand our programs with your help, or whatever we can do to mesh with you to help you with your programs, we'd be more than happy to do it. And the people are pretty happy over there, the seniors. It was a little bit hard meshing the 2 different groups, if you know what I'm saying. People get used to their own building and their own room, and they've been there for a long time. But we're doing a good job over there, and I'm thrilled that you're doing this. And I must say, I have to echo Simon. I've been sitting in on some of these meetings, and this could be, you know, I used to sit on the board of a couple of colleges and universities. We'd go to like IBM or PepsiCo or something in those big boardrooms, and you see people, everything. These people work better than one of those people do. They're all smart, and they're no egomaniacs. So, thank you for all you're doing.
I just wanted to add one thing to that. We have actively been researching what is out there already, not only in the area of transportation, but in the area of all the programs that we intend to offer. And so we have immersed ourselves in this, and our mission is certainly not to intrude on anybody else's turf. What we want to do is we want to complement what already exists, we want to expand what already exists, and we want to fill in the gaps and provide what is missing. And we've had committees that have been doing serious research on this for a long period of time. So I think by the time we open our doors, we will know exactly how to meld with the existing services and to expand on them. Thanks.
Yeah, Harold, yeah.
What is happening in Gramerton Village, and what is happening in Connecticut that we can learn from?
A lot. Harold's question was what's happening in Gramerton Village and in the other programs that we could learn from. They're ahead of us. And and they're ahead of us. They've done all this already. One of the wonderful things about these aging in place initiatives is the willingness to share. And so we have monthly meetings through CAPS. We have a village council, which is all of the initiatives in Westchester. So that's it. So we learn from Julie Dalton in Gramerton Village. I mean, we almost have a phone line to her, a special phone line to her office where she has been so helpful, talking about what they've done and what the pitfalls are, as well as what the successes are. We also are ahead of a lot of people. So it's wonderful now to be in the position where we're helping, for example, a group that's forming in White Plains. And we're going to speak to them next week about the focus groups and how we organized the focus groups and then how we formed our steering committee as an outgrowth of the focus groups.
What services is Gramerton providing?
Gramerton Village provides the services that I talked about previously. Basically, they're doing, there's variation on a theme, depending on who the people are. But basically, Beacon Hill, Bronxville, the ones in Connecticut. There also is a group, Westchester Fairfield County. So also once a month, these groups get together. And we share information. There are speakers about issues that we're all involved in or need to be involved in. So there's a lot of communication.
we obviously are gonna need money. Could you speak to the money and fundraising and interest in?
Yeah, I have the dubious honor of being the chairman of the committee that is to do development. So we are researching again with the benefit of the former Director of Development of the Museum of Natural History, who has done a lot of research at the Foundation Center. And we are concentrating locally on the family foundations and smaller corporations, because we are not big enough to be really palatable for the large foundations and the large corporations at this point. Experience tells us that we have to be in operation at least a year for them to feel comfortable doing that. We are hoping that some of you might be sponsoring some teas or cocktail hours in your own homes to spread the word. That method we have used in the city when I started a similar organization called Health Advocates for Older People that was founded in 1985, primarily to teach physicians, social workers, and clients and nurses to talk to each other with the same language, which ended up for us building a 19-story building for assisted living on 2nd Avenue, 95th Street. But anyway, to our fundraising here, we need your support, and there are many little dollars hidden somewhere along the line, if not big bucks, because it's a stepping stone and a building block. Although we would love to have some lead sponsors to plug down on our visionaries to say, all right, we'll give you a leg up. So we are hoping you will come forward, or we will reach out to you and you will hear from us again. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
I'm especially interested in the scholarship part of this.
Yes.
What percentage do you envision that you would be able in your population to reach out to? I believe I heard 10%
10%,
at some
yeah.
point.
At the beginning, we are cautious. Our business plan is built on the assumptions that we will have to give scholarships to at least 10% of our membership. And to answer your question, Mr. Wolfson, the Greimerton Village just celebrated its first anniversary this May. They've been in operation for 1 year, and they have now 240 members. And it's because, as I said earlier, people always think that somebody else should join. You are not quite ready. There was another question.
One question is, one of the issues you were talking about income, and you know, Westchester, this area is very expensive to live in. We don't have a lot of affordable housing, so how do you envision the portion where struggling people that are aging will not be able to afford their homes, because the services can be done, it's just how are they going to afford to live here?
You know, I think a lot of that is going to come when we get involved with advocacy, because there are issues that are well beyond our power to change as much as we would like to. There are realities, and I think some of it will be advocacy, looking out for the needs and the interests of our population. I do think in terms of scholarships, we're going to start with 10%, and we hope to go beyond that. That's a minimum. That's a bare minimum. Because more and more, certainly in our current economy, we think that there are going to be more people who need scholarships, and that we would have to subsidize.
This is why the first thing that we ask for is your advocacy. Okay? The most important thing is that word of mouth goes out that this is a program that will succeed, that's based on models that are succeeding, and therefore it's the sort of thing that people who have the means can contribute to. Because if we can get the contribution that our business plan says we need, then obviously we can go be 10% and beyond 10%. But it's only if we get the support from those people that can make a contribution, all right, that we'll be able to do this.
Speaking of contributions, if people want to make a contribution, checks should be made out to At Home on the Sound?
We will be giving each of you two things when you leave. The first is a brochure that literally came off the presses last week. And what it contains in here is a description, identification of the benefits, what you would contribute to or if you know someone who could make a contribution, and the endorsements that we've received from the clergy and from the political leaders in our community. So everything is on this brochure. And the second thing is a fact sheet which contains all of the relevant information about the size of the population, identifies the need, and what the game plan is and timetable. So I think you'll find that you have a basis for reaching out to people that you know to share some of this information with them.
And Meryl Sugarman Gutstein is sitting in the back, and she's going to be giving you all that information as you leave. And yes, to answer this specific question, checks would be made to At Home on the Sound. Sure.
When Ruth Lowy was walking out, she said to me,
Yeah, I know.
I'm so happy to see someone from the younger generation here. And that's very nice of her. I'm not that far away. And I guess I'm a slightly younger generation. First of all, it's really important that we get people in my age group to get involved because they're working now. And they are the ones, most of them are working, hopefully. And, we need to get, so I'm always after my friends in my own age group to try to get involved and recognize that they may be in a sandwich situation soon. Yeah. But the other thing is, I often say to my friends, and it points to something that Simon said, I hope when your kids get out of the high school that you don't leave. I would miss you too much. And, I think about it already. I can't imagine my friends, my close network of friends, including Leslie and some other people, and I'm so glad Leslie hasn't moved away, but the people don't move away because this is my community. But I assume that At Home on the Sound would fill in the blanks because people are going to leave, not everybody's going to stay. So I just want to tell you that I'm already thinking about it, and it's getting my mind thinking about it, and I wasn't thinking about it until I got involved. So we have to get people in my generation as well involved now. And I'm going to try to help do that. Great. But, yes.
Could you talk a little bit about the continuum of aging? We always assume that when the time comes, people will go into assisted living or some other kind of. But I'm guessing that the idea of this organization is to postpone that day for as long as possible. Could you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes, this is an option. That would be an alternative to assisted living, to senior residences, to nursing homes. And there's going to be, we foresee, and what's happening in other communities, a large range of people who will be involved and respond to this initiative. From younger people, and again, we're from 60 to whatever, and people are living a lot longer, to people who are active and able-bodied and are doing it for one reason, many just to support, become members to support the organizations, other because they will need some of the services, to people who are very often are referred to the frail elderly who need more services. And what I am told is that, again, it's an option. For people who want to, they can stay in their homes for as long as they want to with the right kind of supports and the right kind of environment. And those supports can be at home, round-the-clock help. It could be with nurses coming in. There's all kinds of alternative and ways that we can help people stay in their homes should they want to do that. I don't know if that answers the question.
Lois.
Yeah, Lois.
Yeah, I wanted to say that this is a national movement, and there are programs like ours springing up all over the country. The kind of people who get involved in this are pioneers. We are innovative. We are going to be pooling our brain power with the other people working on similar kinds of projects to expand what we have now. We're going to create new resources. That's what's making it so exciting.
And may I add, following to your earlier question about housing, now when people are looking for housing, quite often younger people, if they're students that are temporarily here, there have been successful programs, and I'm not sure it has been done in this community, but in other communities for shared housing where a younger person moves in and helps with, in exchange for living there, doing some chores that are really putting people at risk, like going down in the basement or standing on a stool and changing a light bulb and falling down and breaking the hip. But also raking the leaves or dragging out the garbage and things of that nature. Just simple things that if the people have lost their support they may have had at one time.
There is a big step that's taken when you leave your own home. Many people love life going on around them and seeing the generations grow up and the friends and the neighbors. And when you move into another community, it is a rupture, and it's very difficult. And anybody who has seen what happens to people when they make that move knows that it's a loss. This initiative is designed to complement what exists today with support, both emotional, psychological, and physical. It is something which many people will benefit from. And in many ways, we're looking for your support to say this is something that we would put our energy against.
There's also another adage which we will do down the road. I have always been personally interested in universal design and home adaptation. And that's another issue that can be done by vetted people, simple things that can be done, and just simply doing a home assessment, because the most dangerous thing can be just an electrical cord or a rug that is a scatter rug that is dangerous. Simple things can be done just to make the home safer, and that is a persuasion. It cannot be just told by the daughter, because the daughter will be told the rug has always been there. But if a professional assessor comes in, it's more successful that something might be moved and a fall that will end you in a nursing home or rehabilitation for a while and all the pain involved. And then the daughter will indeed say, Mother, it's time to move. So it is all these little nuances that over time have become known to the people in the field.
Okay.
This has just been extraordinary. As a former nursing home social worker, you can appreciate the appeal to me and what these people are doing. It is an incredible happening, and we're very proud to have you all as part of the community and what you are doing. So we thank you. All right, we remember, please, don't forget to vote. School board goings on today, that's very important. And we thank you all. There'll be one more summit meeting. We have our community directory for new people who missed these